Hi witches! So I figured if you are one of those people who want to come with me on this journey and let me talk to you about my craft and things that I have experienced over the last almost few decades of my life, which is a big chunk of my life, the best place to start would be to get your Book of Shadows. Your Book of Shadows is essentially just your magical journal. Sometimes people will put everything in one space, and that can even be a computer file, but the way that I was taught was it's ideal if you write all of the information yourself, because writing everything down is going to make it stick more in your brain and it's going to feel more personalized to you. But do whatever is easiest for you. If it's easiest for you to just type up a file on your computer, maybe print off the pages so that you have like a binder or something in case something happens to the computer files, you never know. That's totally fine too. Now, some witches will have big, glamorous books of shadows. I'll be honest, until very recently, I just used various different notebooks in my life, and I'm currently going through and combining all of them into two different books that are nicer, and I'm just trying to compile it all in a fancier version. But to begin with, I would not recommend doing that, especially if you're like me and you tend to get in your head about things and you're a perfectionist, and if it doesn't look just perfect, then you're going to feel like you messed up this beautiful journal that you acquired somewhere. So it depends on what works for you. But yeah, the point of this is a place to keep all of your rituals, all of your spells. If you do a spell that works and you want to be able to remember it, keep it in your Book of Shadows. This is a place to compile all the information, not just that I plan on like sharing with you in the upcoming months, but also information that you find on your own in research, not just pertaining to necessarily Wicca or witchcraft or paganism in general, but whatever helps you on your spiritual path is going to go into this book. And some people will split up into two different books. Like a Book of Shadows would be, like I've just been describing, your personal journey. So things that you've personally discovered, epiphanies you have, if you go on a shamanic journey, past life regression, just have an interesting experience with your guides while you're meditating one day, whatever it is, if it feels worth remembering to you, then write it down in your Book of Shadows. Some witches will have a second Book of Shadows that's more of a grimoire, which will have things like correspondences, herbs, crystals, astrological information, info on different types of divination, sigils, runes. Really, the list is endless, okay? But basically, you get the idea, right? So this is the book that I am currently using to compile all of my main witchcraft information, and that would be things like information about the sacred days of the year, information about working with the moon, information about the planets, and different spells and rituals and things like that I'm recording in here. Just basic information, but not necessarily anything super personal to me, right? And then this book, which is considerably smaller, is the one that I am using for personal experiences that I wouldn't really be showing anybody, right? Like this one, I'm not going to show you what I put inside of here. This one, however, I can show you. Keep in mind, this is a work in progress, but I'm pretty proud of it so far. I made the stuff on the front here. Obviously, that's moss, and I didn't make the key, but I made this pentacle, and you can get as creative as you want with it. That's one of the things I absolutely love about witchcraft in general, is like it is a craft, and so excuse me, you get to literally, like, whatever it is that speaks to you the most artistically, you can find a way to get witchy with it, and it's pretty fun. So I'm just gonna like briefly kind of skim through here, but like I like to put art in my book as well. It's it's just fun. It makes it more colorful, right? But I have like the universal laws. This would be talking about things like the law of vibration, the law of oneness, the law of action, law of cause and effect, right? Things to keep in mind because all of these come into play very heavily when you start working with magic and you want to know how energy works. So things like that are super important. Any book of shadows I've ever had, I always have a copy of the Witch's Creed, the Wiccan Read, whatever you want to call it. I don't consider myself Wiccan, so I just call it the Witch's Creed, but it is pretty Wiccan. But I have the entire poem, and I honestly don't even know who originally wrote this, but I just love it. It's so fucking beautiful to just like go through and read occasionally, and so I always have to have it in my book. And then like basic little things like the 13 goals of a witch. Know thyself, know thy craft. Endeavor to learn, apply knowledge with wisdom, achieve balance, keep your words in good order, keep your thoughts in good order, celebrate life, attune with the cycles of the earth, breathe and eat correctly, exercise the body, meditate, and honor the divine. And you can, maybe this is something that I'll make a video about in the future because we can really like break down each of these individual things and make a whole series about each of these 13 things because you can go pretty in depth with what all of these really mean. 9 steps of a ritual, how to cleanse and consecrate, tools or anything that you're trying to use for magical purpose, a talisman, whatever. Different dedication ceremonies. The Charge of the Goddess is another beautiful poem that I absolutely love. I also have the Charge of the God in here. Information on the Espits, which would be like the new moon, the full moon, lunar correspondences. I have all sorts of correspondences in here, really. I also have all of the elements and their correspondences that you can see in here. And I absolutely love this journal so much. Like, I love these pages. Like, it looks old as shit, and I love it. But yeah, that's just a basic idea. There's some pages that I have set aside for things that I haven't fully like delved into yet. And then I recently discovered an amazingly easy way to keep leaves colorful. And literally if you just get Mod Podge and paint the leaves, whether they're green or fall leaves, whatever you want to have, let them dry, and then you can put them on anything with more Mod Podge, like any paper substances or whatever, and they're going to stay like that forever. It's amazing. So yeah, runes, stuff like that. Let's see here. Color correspondences. I want to have like a lot more correspondence. These are a couple of my spells that I wrote down in here. I am a huge fan of doing spell bags, which is definitely a video that I've had on this channel before, but I'm going to go ahead and probably remake that one since I'm revamping everything. Candle magic, anointing oils. I do a lot of hoodoo in my craft personally. For those who are unaware, hoodoo is basically a combination of, it was born in New Orleans, and I love New Orleans. My soul is just like, every time I think of New Orleans, I literally cried when I left there. Like the one time that I went there, I cried. It was like heartbreaking. It was right like the year before Katrina hit. But it is a huge deal to me, and so hoodoo was born in New Orleans, and I went to New Orleans when I was still a baby witch, and it was a magical experience for me. I had wanted to go there for at least like 5 or 6 years before I actually got there, and when I finally did, it was absolutely like the most amazing thing ever, and that's where I discovered hoodoo. And like I said, it was born in New Orleans, and it is a combination, if I remember correctly, of African culture, like voodoo, essentially, or vodun, however it's officially said. I apologize. I don't know how that actual word is said, but Vodoun, I believe, but voodoo. So voodoo, Native American spirituality, and European folk magic. It's a combination of all those, and it really doesn't have anything to do with God. It's literally just a type of folk magic. And so I have some of that in my Book of Shadows as well, because a lot of the spells that I do have a very hoodoo flavor to them, and I use a lot of hoodoo oils and tools and herbs and that kind of thing. So yeah, but you can really make it your own, and that's the point. And I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because I do plan on making at least minimum one video a week. And for those of you who plan on following me, and I'm actually going to be teaching a bunch of my friends in real life how to be a witch, how to be witches, and it's going to be amazing. And so if you want to join on that journey, then get yourself a journal and start recording not just information from me, but wherever you find it. Just collect it all. Just a binder is great when you're first starting out because you don't have to worry about how it looks or anything. You can literally, like I used to do, and when I was in high school, I had my Book of Shadows binder, and I would just print information off and carry it around with me until I got out of school and just like spend my entire day just reading information that I had printed off the internet. And I learned so much doing that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about this journey. It honestly just like is taking me back to like when I first discovered witchcraft and Wicca and hoodoo and all of the things, and it's gonna be so fun, you guys. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you again soon. Peace out.